Alright everyone, I'm going to show you guys how to do SQLite in Visual Studio, and specifically it's going to be a Windows Form app. You will be able to find the whole project on the GitHub, link is in the description. So to get started, we're going to choose Windows Form app, and I'm going to put it into this tutorial folder. The name of it will be SQLite, and create it. So you'll end up with this window right here. This is what you're going to be building on. First thing I'm going to do is add the Nougat package. So you're going to go to Project, Manage Nougat Packages, and search for SQLite. And I'm going to use, where is it? This one right here. Gonna install it, click OK. So now I should be able to use it in this project. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 text boxes to this. Let's see, text box and a button. So here's my first text box, my second text box, and my button. The first text box is going to be the first column in the database. Second one's going to be the second column. So let me do this. I'm going to change it from text box 1 to item 1. This one's going to be item 2, and this button is going to be add db, and it's going to say add. Okay, so to get the functions we need, I'm going to just double click on the window, and it'll bring up this with this function created. This is called whenever form 1 is loaded. I'm going to go back to this, I'm going to click on the button and double click it, and anytime the button's clicked it's going to run this function right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class that actually creates the database. So to do that, I'm going to go to add new item, class, this is going to be db info, like that. Create some space between the brackets and add in the SQL library at the top. Alright, like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to type primary key and auto increment. Gonna have public variables. ID is gonna be what's auto incremented, and we're gonna do get and set functions for that. Public string column 1 is going to be item 1 field, and also do get and set for that. And public string column 2 get set. Gonna create a default constructor that does nothing basically, and we're going to create one that takes in info. String C1, C2, change that to lowercase, and column 1 is going to equal C1. Column 2 is going to equal C2. And that class is done. I'm going to save that. Go back to form 1. We're going to do using SQLite at the top. Now I want my form 1 function to basically create the database if the file doesn't exist. So to do that, I'm going to have a if system.io.file.exists, and I'm going to do, let's see, this folder right here, and I'm going to name it test.db3, since that'll be the name of the database, and we're going to do nothing if it exists. If it doesn't exist, we're going to create the table. So this next part is going to be creating the table. So new SQLite connection to this path right here. We're going to create a table, db3.create table of type db info, and then we're going to close the database. So this function is done. We're going to go on to the add button, click. So to do that, we're going to do db info equals, or temp, just a variable to store the info, equals new db info, and it's going to be item1.text, item2.text. Which for some reason doesn't like that. Oh. Remember to do this to be able to access it. We're going to open the database. We're going to insert the temp variable into the database. And we're going to close it. So whenever I press the add button, it's going to take the string from item 1 and the string from item 2, put it in a temp variable. It's going to open the database. It's going to insert that temp variable into the database, and then it's going to close the database. So to see that in action, we'll press start, have it build, and we get this form right here. I'm going to just put a bunch of gibberish into this. So it should have 3 rows in it now. I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to go to that folder and open up that database. Browse data. It has 3 things in it. And you can see ID was auto-incremented. And that's how you do SQLite in Visual Studio.